volume. So you got to think that a lot of people will be watching this one here headed into Monday. So let's map out a couple of key levels. First level that you got to think a lot of people will be watching right up here at this level. Let's call $1.23. So $1.23 going to be that main breakout area right there. You can see that going through the history of things, the price right there struggled, got above it right there, failed to come, you stay above it, got above it right there, failed to stay above it. So a couple different situations that are just illustrating this is a very stubborn level. Then at the same time, we have this area of support that is also working its way up. There we go, like so. Let me change that to green, and then we can complete the pattern here. Let me just keep it all one color. So we have our area of resistance, we have our support, we have the explosion right there. And let's put our golf hole down here to make it a little bit more visual. This is a bull pennant pattern. So if you like bull pennants, if you like stocks down below the $2 mark, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, ticker symbol GFAI. Talked about this one in yesterday's video, and that is where the red line right there is coming into play. But you can see that opening part of the day, price got a very nice break up through that level. So that's where the first update comes into play, and this is just based on a foundation rule in charting. So let me get rid of that level. And this rule states that one, let me extend this out a little bit here. But this rule states that when levels of resistance are broken and closes above, you want to see them act as support. And that is essentially exactly what happened here. Not exactly, but you can see on this pullback here, like I said, price didn't hit that green line exactly, but I think we can all agree, got very close and then got a nice little bounce up here. So overall, the chart looks very, very healthy. Now, I do realize that there's a bit of perspective that goes into this. What do I mean? Well, if you're some sort of day trader and you bought right there, and your plan was to buy and sell within 7 seconds, well, then yes, from that perspective, the chart looks pretty rough because there was this pullback. But assuming you do care about the bigger picture point of view, overall, the chart is looking very nicely. In fact, you now have this set of lows, which when you compare to that set and that set, then if you envision each one of those as stair-steps, well, overall, you still very clearly have stair-steps progressing in the upwards direction. And from a big picture point of view, that's what it's all about. You just want to see progress being made forward. In terms of levels of resistance, you have that area of resistance right there. So let's change that to red for resistance. So overall, though, very nice move. Higher highs, higher lows. That's the name of the game. Next one here, DWAC, very, very volatile mover today, and now I think some very well-defined levels. So you got to think that a lot of people will be watching these levels, and lots of people are watching the same general areas and wondering the same things. Call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can produce some very dynamic movements. So the first key level that you got to think a lot of people are watching right up here around $22.50 as that main area of resistance, and then at the same time, as far as supports are concerned, we have this nice little support zone right there via this trend line, and then maybe we're already starting to see how the pattern is taking shape. So we have our area of resistance, we have our support, we have the big move here, so we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. And while nothing is guaranteed, is it valid, is it plausible to think that if the price can work its way back up to that area and then get a break up through it, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? Again, that's not a guaranteed outcome, but it's certainly more than plausible and rational. So if you like to play these price stocks, you like these sorts of potentially self-fulfilling prophecy situations, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one, XXII, and as of right now, there's no doubt about it, a pretty rough afternoon. I mean, to think that the price has gotten all the way up there and then spent the latter part of the afternoon dropping down quite a bit. Now, does that ruin the entire chart? I'm not going to go that far, especially when you look at it from a bigger picture point of view. You can see the price is still very much so higher than where it was even just a few days ago. But there's still no doubt about it that this has been a pretty big pullback here. So we'll map out some areas of support. For those of you that prefer to play potentially pullbacks here. So first key level of support moving forward where the price could very well head down, at least in my opinion, right there at $4.50. If $4.50 doesn't quite hold up, then the next areas of support you're going to want to keep a very close eye on is going to be that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. Now, keyword being moving, so as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So it's essentially like a trend line that's going to draw itself for you. So like I said, if 450 does not hold, then keep your eye on the quote-unquote trend line, again, that 50-period moving average as another level that could share some insight into potential areas of support. In terms of levels of resistance, main battleground to watch if there is any sort of attempted bounce back upwards initially going to be, at least in my opinion, right up there at that $6 mark. So keep an eye on $6. But no doubt about it, big move today, shows the the ability to move very quickly. So if you like to play these sorts of situations where you have a surge and then you have a bit of a pullback, I'd certainly keep an eye on it. Next one, AMC. And for those of you that have been watching the past videos, these levels should sound very familiar, but they continue to play a role in the chart. Specifically in today's action, this level of resistance right up there at $4.40. Now, to be fair, at one point the price did a fantastic job, broke up through that level. But the problem is the price was just not able to maintain that break, and the price fell back below it. But as I speak right now, and you can see late afternoon, look right where the price is once again struggling right there at $4.40. And not a huge shock because in the past, the price has struggled up there before. So no doubt about it, $4.40. Very, very annoying, very, very stubborn level that will continue to need to be watched headed into next week. On the flip side of things, not totally relevant right now, but nothing new for those of you that have watched the past videos from the support side of things. Still all about $4.25 down here, but because the price is much closer to potentially breaking through the top side of this channel, then that's what makes it more relevant. But overall, the sideways channel continues with $4.40 being a very stubborn and annoying level. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for this free live event. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one, ticker symbol SIRI, and I like this because of the very well-defined levels here. So for those of you that have been watching past videos, you've, I'm sure, seen patterns like that look like this, very familiar. But like I said, just a very, very well-defined little wedge pattern. Let me change that to green to represent the support. So really just a big old question mark headed into next week of who is ultimately going to win out of this back and forth action. Are the bulls going to win out with a break to the upside, or the bear is going to win with a break to the downside? That is the big question mark moving forward. So if you like to play these sorts of scenarios where you got kind of a back and forth and you like to be able to ask that question, okay, a very well-defined battleground, but who's ultimately going to win out, the bulls or the bears? And you can, I would say, introduce some of that self-fulfilling prophecy type stuff, because you got to think a lot of people are watching these sorts of scenarios. So if you like this price range, you like these sorts of potential scenarios, then definitely keep an eye on it next week. Next one here, RIVN. Did this one previously and wanted to talk about this because, once again, this very stubborn level that I talked about in yesterday's video has played a role, that stubborn level being right up here at 26.50. And we've already seen it on a couple other situations, but check it out. So yes, the price did actually break through that level of resistance, but history repeated itself, namely right there, false breakout, right there, false breakout. And then today was, and I should say specifically during that opening 30 minutes, was the latest false breakout, which makes these sorts of charts very, very tricky, because when you stop and think about it, think about what the problem is. The problem is not, well, can this thing break above 26.50? That's not the problem. The problem is, can the price actually sustain the breakout? And we now have our third example of this breaking above it, sure, but not being able to sustain the breakout, which makes these, there's no doubt about it, very, very tricky charts to play because of that reason of not quite knowing if it's a true breakout or not. So just keep that in mind. If the price breaks above 26.50, to be fair, maybe that is finally the genuine breakout. But as of now, there's a big track record of it being those false breakouts, which, like I said, very tricky. In terms of levels of support, nothing new here to report. Still all about that level down there, which the price didn't really come. I guess it got kind of close right there. Not really. But overall, like I said, that'll be the main area of support to watch. And then as we have the time goes by, you can see that pink line right here, which is the 200 period moving average, moving and getting more and more relevant. But as of right now, that green trend line carries the most relevance from the support side of things. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and two main levels stand out immediately to me going into next week. The first level is nothing new, assuming you watched the previous video, but if you did not, then just real quickly, the key level of support moving forward is that green line there, which you can barely see, but it is down there, and that is at that is at the 253 mark. I realize that says 253.33, but we're talking about a $250 stock, so let's just call it $253 as that main area of support. And then moving forward, as far as levels of resistance are concerned, main level here that stands out, all about the top part right here at the 267.50 mark. Let me change that. And actually, we'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see a little bit better of where this is coming from. But you look through the history of things, you can see right there rejected the price, right there rejected the price, and then this afternoon once again rejected the price. So while that level I'm not saying can never be broken, I'm just saying it's become very apparent that that is a very stubborn level. So who knows, potentially next week, or at least early next week, maybe this thing just chops around in a sideways channel. That remains to be seen. But like I said, from a technical point of view, you got to think that a lot of people are watching these two levels, which once again can produce some potentially self-fulfilling prophecies. Next one here, AMZN, Amazon, and same general idea, which is why I wanted to put it where it was. I'm going to go through this quickly so I can just respect your time as much as possible. So Think back to Tesla, had that one very well-defined level, and we have that here on Amazon at 128.40. You look right here, you can see 2 candles in a row. The bears try to press down, but the bulls held strong. So that is a very, at least in my mind, apparent level of support. In terms of areas of resistance, we have this level up here, which I've talked about before. That pink line, which I would call, kind of the top part of this sideways channel. You can see right there, price rejected. There's a little false gap up above that level before the price quickly crashed right back below it. So once again, like Tesla, essentially have a sideways channel here where the top part of this channel, again, based on that 200 period moving average, we'll call 131. And then the bottom part of the channel, the support down there at 128.40. So just one of those levels where a lot of people, you got to think, are watching them, and therefore you have some potential self-fulfilling prophecies. Next one here, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ as a whole is going to rise, this one will also rise. The biggest difference here is that it just allows you access at a much lower price point, which makes it a very popular ETF. Some would say the most popular ETF. And really, I mean, there's 2 main levels, but the level that you got to think that everybody and their brother's uncle is watching is all about that pink line right there, which you now know is the 200 period moving average, and everybody asking the same very interesting question: what is going to happen at that level? Now think about it. You're going to have some people thinking, well, I think this thing is going to bounce. I completely understand where they're coming from. You're going to have other people saying, well, I think if the price breaks, that's going to be the open up the floodgates that push the price down even further. I completely see where they're coming from, and that's why risk management matters, because nobody knows for sure. Somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong, and that's why you have to manage risk. But the common denominator there, the commonality, is all eyes are going to be wondering and forming those trade plans around that 200 period moving average, which you can see the price is oh so close to right there. So like I said, if I were to have to pinpoint one thing that carries the most relevance on this one moving forward, it'd be all about that 200 period moving average. If the price does try to bounce back upwards, then that level that I talked about previously at 43.75 still remains that key area of resistance. But in my opinion, at least, the most interesting dynamic, and the dynamic that most people will be watching, is all about that 200 period moving average. So let's see if the price is actually able to hold above it, or does the NASDAQ have another big push to the downside early next week? Is going to be quite interesting. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to go get signed up for the free training next week. It'll be Thursday, July 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So just remember the Eastern time. But yes, definitely go get signed up for it. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do 2 things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Those 2 things really help out the channel, really help out and communicate to me that you enjoy. And as long as I know you're enjoying, I'll continue to get these watch list videos put together. Even just tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching next week. But hitting the like button and a simple comment really do go a long way. So do that. Go get signed up for that free class. Everybody take care. Enjoy your weekend.